also focused on quantum physics.
Perhaps you remember we had met 6 years ago at Stanford, and we had a discussion with a few other people for morning and lunch, and that was a very important event in my life. And since coming here, I've learned a great deal. I hope to start by addressing this question about the nature of matter and the nature of life. Now, the single most important thing we know is that the world is made of atoms. This is a picture of iron atoms put on a surface of a piece of metal. Each of these little bumps is one atom. You have to get it very, very cold for them to stay.
So maybe it's too cold to move.
Frozen. Atoms are made of other particles, such as electrons around the outside. This is very strange. Our current understanding of these particles is they have no size, infinitely small. And we describe the particle in terms of these field lines, these fields. If the atom were the size of the Earth, the size of this electron would be smaller than 1 millimeter. So we know it must be smaller than that. Now, how do we know that? We actually take electrons and we throw them at another electron. And if the electron had size, these particles of electrons would bounce from them differently than if the electron was just a point. And we can mathematically predict which is which, and what we see, no size, just point.
Whether there's anything that is, do they provide any kind of obstruction to an incoming entity? And my impression from what you just said is, yes, that is, you can collide two electrons, but they collide as if they were pure points rather than having any type of spatial dimensionality.
You're absolutely correct.
When we speak of simply the existence of things in our shared world, we posit the existence of things. What is actually the nature of the electron itself, independently of its own parts, that type of ontological analysis? You don't find it. So then you're left with a couple of options. Again, you can either say, well, these elementary particles and so forth, all these things that we identify, they do things. So to say, as they're doing things and things are done to them, that they don't exist is foolishness.
Every property that I know of, it depends. So when we say the electron has these intrinsic properties, we don't say it has an intrinsic property. We're not going to talk about the electron as a being. It also includes the interaction. We have to include the interaction.
Because that's the observation.
Because in order to even observe the electron, we need some interaction. So in that respect, I don't think it conflicts with the Buddhist philosophy. All the others are a matter of the observation. It has, which means it intimately is connected with the rest of the world.